So that was a productive morning. I woke up wanting to get some stuff done and record some other videos, but I found an old folder on one of my old hard drives labeled top 100 4PP clips, and there was a top 100 countdown that I was going to do, where I went and say downloaded all the 4PP clips I could, watched through all of them. This was probably about 10 years ago, maybe though, or 9 years ago, 8 years ago. I don't know, but yeah, I looked through all these old clips, and then I organized my top 100 clips into 1 through 25, 26 through 50, 51 through 75, and then 76 through 100. And I organized them all out, and I think I might have broadcasted this one day on a whim, but there's no like official record or official like post, so maybe I'll do that. But yeah, just looking back, I guess real quick, I'll just make this video about that. Looking back on a bunch of these old clips, man, the things that it really the things that really stood out to me is one, dude, the quality. This wasn't even that long ago. This was like 10 years ago, but the quality of the videos back then were so shitty. If you go watch them, like, you can't even read what's on screen. And I don't even know how we recorded it back then, because man, it was just so bad. The quality was so bad. Widescreen, I don't even think was a thing yet. We were still playing on PS2 and Xbox. There's one clip where it's called the closest game of Left 4 Dead ever played, and it's hilarious because it's Juan playing, and they're playing this multiplayer match. He's playing against community members, and they're like, "Oh, who won? Who won? Who won?" And it ends up being like 2900 to 2899. So there's like a difference of 1 point, and it was the most like hilarious coincidence that is. But you could barely read it out because the quality of the stream was so bad back then. And it just makes me think about all the advances, how far streaming has come, like in terms of like now you can just set up your PS4 and just hit broadcast, and it'll broadcast, and it'll take care of everything for you. You just log into a Twitch account or something. But back then it wasn't like that. We had, Adobe, what is it? Whatever broadcaster it was. I forget what it's called, but they had like a separate program for Adobe, and you had to like put in all the stream information, and then like if it crashed, it crashed, because we never used the actual like Justin TV like streaming website program that you just log in and hit broadcast. Man, it just really makes me think about how far it came. And then looking through all those clips, man, there's just like such a wide variety of clips that we've had. Like, I don't know how it is now, or the popular people, if they play like a variety of games. People have told me before on when I stream, they're like, when certain games get popular, people will stream certain games because it's like, oh, like for instance, Bendy and the Ink Machine. When I started playing that, they were like, David, why'd you decide to play this game? Is it, everybody's playing? Everybody at one point was playing this game because it's such a great like reaction game. Like, you get a reaction from people, and I was like, oh, really? I just kind of picked this up because it looked interesting to me, and it was like $20 at GameStop, and it was published by Rooster Teeth, I think. But yeah, if you look back at all the stuff we used to play, like, there's such a wide variety of clips. There's like the Elder Scrolls and the GTAs and the Left 4 Deads, but then there's like, and then the what's it called? What is it called? The Fatal Frames. But like, if you go watch like some of the stuff that Brad played, it was just so ridiculously like all over the place. There's one game I can't even remember, Magic Pendule or something, or is this some game where you was on the PS2 and you draw your character, and there's a clip of him and he draws like this penis looking thing that ends up looking like a red dildo, and then the thing is like running around on screen. It's the most freaking hilarious clip because it was just so randomly like him being okay. Common theme, if you go back and watch a bunch of these old clips, is Brad being ridiculously immature. Like, there's this one Wii Fit clip that I was watching where he's just using the little pointer finger to like pick girls' noses during interviews. it's so stupid. Looking back on it, it's so dumb, but it was just if you can like just deal with the immaturity, it's funny for me because I know the guy and we were friends and we were roommates for a long time. And I could totally understand somebody coming off on the street and be like, "Oh," like disgusted at the immaturity of it all. But just I think it was funny for us. The immaturity was funny for us because it was like we lived together and it was like, let me just get a rise out of my friend. Let me just do the stupidest, most ridiculous thing I can do just to make each other laugh kind of thing. And yeah, and like again, going back, if you just look at all the stuff, one of my favorite clips, and I'll post these somewhere, or I'll link them on my Twitter or something. One of my favorite clips is this clip of Travis playing Final Fantasy Tactics, which is one of Brad's favorite games. And like, I don't know if this is before all the, pro gamer level stuff where they actually have commentators, but Brad is sitting there commentating on Travis playing it. And it's so fantastic because Brad has such a knowledge of the game that like he could actually be a commentator if there was a pro like Final Fantasy Tactics league, or if that actually could actually be a thing. He has such knowledge of the game that he could commentate it. But then also on top of that is Travis playing it and not playing very poorly in that quote unquote match. And it's just the sarcasm in which Brad narrates and talks about. It's so great. And the ending, I'm not going to spoil it, but the way the ending, it kind of is a twist because I was expecting Brad to say something different. And the thing he says is such a common, like back in those days, Super Nintendo and PlayStation Squaresoft games. Oh man, it's just a fantastic, like, just, you can just, and the enthusiasm and the knowledge behind Brad narrating, it's still one of my favorite top. Like, if I look at it right now, it's number 8 on my top 100. So, and number 9's good, and number 10's good. Dude, they're all hilarious, man. Going back on this, it's so funny to go back and look at this list because it's such a fun. Not only is it a fun walk down memory lane because I was there and experienced it all, and like, it was fun to reminisce about it, but also like, it's kind of like I was a fan of them. Like a fan of myself, fan of them. Really, because when I go watch, it's probably because I'm friends with them all. And so that makes me more, like more attached to it all. I don't think it's because I was there, but it's because I was like I feel like people who watched us back then were like, we were just one big family. I don't want to sound like I'm dissing like on current streamers or people who are trying to do it now, but back then it was just such an unknown thing, and it was such a small it was just a thing that started happening by accident, and the people were there just kind of stumbled upon it, and then like people came and everybody knew everybody by name, and everybody like kind of like we would meet up in person, and people within the community would date each other, and I don't know, it just seemed like such a very like close-knit community. I don't know if that can ever happen anymore because I feel like now it's so like produced and everybody's on their best behavior, and you have to worry about like advertising and brands, and I don't want to piss off advertisers because I want to make sure I can make my money and worry about ad revenue. Again, I don't know how it is now. I don't broadcast that regularly now, and I don't know if I would be trying to monetize it or anything like that. It just reminds me of such a like. Okay, so I'll tell you. Used to, I remember, I would lurk in chat, and people would just be hanging out in chat talking. And then they'd be like, oh, da 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 da. And I always remember I would just sit there and just watch them while I was doing stuff. And then I'd look over, and there would always be somebody who would say like, man, I really wish they would broadcast right now. And that was my like cue. It's like, broadcast. And I would go hit it. And people would be like, oh, speak of the devil. You said it and it happened. Because I was always sitting there watching chat. And like, I always tried to do that. It was always funny to me to be able to do that. And then I remember I would hit broadcast, and it was funny too because I had a friend recently tell me like, David, y'all are the only ones who say broadcast. Or is it broadcast? Yeah, because nobody says broadcast anymore. Everybody now says stream. I'm going to stream. But for us, it was broadcasting because back then it was a completely different time. It just shows you the age. Even the language has changed. But I remember, what was my story? Yeah. Oh, I would hit the broadcast and I wouldn't say anything. I'd hit broadcast. They would all of chat would freak out because some guy said, I wish they would broadcast. And then suddenly it happened. It's like, the devil was listening, or like Kaiser Soze or whatever. And then I would hit the broadcast and then I wouldn't say anything. And I remember always somebody in chat would say, it's David. I can tell by the way he's breathing. That's David. And they could tell like who it was between me and Brad and Travis just by like the way we breathed. And that's like how like intimate it was back then. It kind of reminds me of like Idols, cuz like to somebody just coming in and listening to like an Idol song, they're like, "Oh, it's just a bunch of girls singing. It's just a bunch of young girls singing. Who cares?" Or like, "Who can tell?" But like for people who follow idols, like you can tell the girls apart just by like one line. Like one person sings that line and you're like, "Oh, that's Erica," or "Oh, that's Micah," or whatever. And you could just be like, it's just the intimateness, the details. If you're around and you're part of the community, you end up just picking up all these nuances that like anybody walking off the street would have like no clue. Yeah, man. So it was fun. It was fun looking back on all these. I wish I could go through and just name all the clips one by one and just watch them with people, but yeah, I'm gonna post all 100 somewhere, and I've been tweeting them out individually. I wish I could do a commentary on all of them, but yeah, maybe I can. We'll see. If you're interested in that, yeah, check it out. And I promise I will follow through with this. It just might take me a while because there's 100 clips. Thanks for listening. Bye.